Alright, so this is Module 1. My name's Sean. A little bit about me. I teach physics and chemistry at Big Spring School District. It's near Carlisle and Shippensburg, Pennsylvania. So why do I teach STEM? I liked it whenever I was going through school, and I also found out that I could teach people STEM subjects as well. So I like the subject, I got people interested in it, and I like teaching it, and that's how I ended up in the field that I am now. Other things that I do, I'm a football coach, and I also like to motorcycle. Alright, so what's my definition of STEM? STEM is science, technology, engineering, and mathematics. It is content that requires critical thinking, organization, collaboration, and perseverance in order to be successful in it. STEM is what pushes humanity forward, and it can be used for either good or bad. In order to teach it, you must be good at it yourself. Tyson talks here in his interview, says, there are people who say, I'll never need this math, these trig identities, and he goes on. But he says, here's the catch. Whether or not you never use the math again you learned in school, the act of having learned the math established a wiring in your brain that didn't exist before, and it's the wiring in your brain that makes you solve the problem. So STEM is about not necessarily what you're learning, it's about how you're learning, and it's about how you're thinking. The things that STEM does that tells you about how you're thinking and how you're doing it with other people and how you have to continue to problem solve and persevere and work through some adversity, those are the things of why STEM is important, and I'll get into that more a little bit later. But my definition of STEM is it's more than just the content. It's about what you're actually doing with the content. It's not just content, it's skills with those and personality aspects that you pick up. STEM in my classroom. Here's what I like to do. We've been using NGSS and Steels at least for the past 18 months. When we heard Steels was rolling out, we really tried to get this implemented. So I use all 8 of these. The one that I need to get better at using is this analyze and interpret data. I don't do enough of that. But 2 things that I really do a lot are plan and carry out investigations or, construct explanations. So construct explanations, that's where I say, hey, here's something cool that's going on, otherwise known in academic language as a phenomena. So what's going on here? Can we construct an explanation for what's going on? The other thing I do is sometimes I'll give background information. I'm like, okay, here's some background information, here's a prompt, here's a problem, go solve it. Can you figure out a way to set up an experiment? So I call it an experimental design. Specific one that I use is I have the kids do a horsepower lab where I give them a little bit of background knowledge. But then I say, okay, I want you to go measure your horsepower on the stairs. And usually I get a few confused looks, and I'm like, go, you have everything you need, go, you can measure it. So then they have to set up their experiment. They have to set up, okay, what variables am I doing? What do I need to measure? When? How am I doing it? Okay, and then they end up writing their procedure. They make data tables, and then they show how much horsepower they can generate while either walking or running upstairs. Why is STEM important? I already touched on it. It's not necessarily about the content. It's about what you're doing while learning the content. So Tyson referenced it in his interview, but STEM is what drives a country. In every aspect, the way that STEM forces you to think and act will affect the country. So, again, we push society forward by forcing people to learn this because it forces your brain to work a certain way. It forces you to be a problem solver. It forces you to critically think. It forces you to collaborate with others. It forces you to have arguments and build up your convictions about things based on data. So that's why STEM is important, because it's more than just the content. The content's great, don't get me wrong, but it's more than that. It's what are they doing? How are they thinking? How are they collaborating? All right, and then the Academy's video, it said, imagine if K-12 students were taught in ways that highlighted these connections. They learn more and more deeply, big time. That's why you teach STEM, right there. You teach them how to learn and how to learn efficiently and how to learn deeply. Goals in this course for me personally. I want to learn more about STEM integration in K-12. I teach high school science, but I want to learn more about tech and engineering. And I also want to learn across grade levels. So I'm interested in not just that, but grade 12 down to kindergarten. Part of that is I'm teaching a new course next year, and I'd like to be able to figure out how I can best do that. There are some citations from our sources, and there's a rocket, and there's SpongeBob.